Hello everybody, this is Courtney Kolb and I am doing my presentation on the presidential project for grade 3, and the subjects are reading and writing and social studies if you choose, but I only teach reading and writing, so that's what I used it for. Okay. In this lesson, the student will research a president of their choice and turn this research into a PowerPoint presentation. There's several media literacy standards. The student will plan, organize, and give an oral presentation and use appropriate voice, eye, and body movements for the topic, audience, and occasion. The student will identify and explain different production elements used in media messages, like color, sound, effects, and animation, and use the elements appropriate in a multimedia production. The students will use appropriate available technologies to enhance communication and achieve a purpose, a video and website. The student will use digital tools, word processing, multimedia, authoring, web tools, graphic organizers to present and publish in a variety of media formats. Reading and writing standards are: the student will read informational text like graphs, charts, manuals, and organize information for different purposes, including but not limited to being informed, following multi-step directions, making a report, conducting interviews, preparing to take a test, and performing a task. The next two are a little difficult, but they say the student will use predetermined evaluative criteria, readability, appropriateness, or special features to select appropriate reference materials, including multiple representations of information such as map, charts, and photos to gather information. The student will determine information needed for a search by narrowing or broadening a topic, identifying keywords. Instructional objectives include: the third grade reading student will read the biography of their chosen president. The third grade reading student will then organize information from their biography materials into pre-written outline. The third grade student will write only the most pertinent information in the outline to guide them through the writing process. The third grade student will convert the outline into a PowerPoint presentation. The third grade student will give an oral explanation of the researched information and how the president had an effect on our American history. Teacher preparation. You will need your materials. You will need a computer with internet access to Google Documents, a pre-made presidential outline sheet, a rubric pre-created from RubyStar that outlines your expectations, pencils, and a dump your brain sheet, which is a large blank sheet of paper. As for the students, they will research their chosen president on the computer after being taught how to research information from a website. The student will fill out specific facts on their presidential outline sheet. The student will then convert these facts into paragraphs as outlined on their presidential outline sheet. The student will use the presidential outline sheet as a guide when creating their PowerPoint slides. The student will independently create and present a 5 to 6 slide PowerPoint that teaches their peers about their president while following the expectations for the project outlined in their rubric. Adaptations for special learners include that my classroom consists of many diverse learners, therefore I am consistently having to modify my lessons to adapt my ESL students. In this lesson, the students will be researching information on the computer. At our school, we have a program called Read, Write, Gold, which allows students to hear a passage being read to them. I utilize this program for this lesson so that my ESL students are able to visually and auditorily follow the passage. In addition, my students are able to retrieve the information visually from the computer, and with the PowerPoint program, they are able to see the conventions and spelling of the English language. I also have a few students that have physical difficulties with writing, and according to their IEPs are to use the computer to complete tasks, which is incorporated into this lesson. These children would be allowed to work with partners to aid in creating their PowerPoint. Evaluation. The rubric created from RubyStar will be the evaluation tool to assess the student's ability to research the information, develop a learning tool to teach this information, which is the PowerPoint, and their ability to orally present the information. This rubric also assesses their creativity, spelling and conventions, references, and overall presentation. The rubric is especially outlined with the expectations for each part and is based on a scale of 100 points. To ensure that the students have been listening to the presentations, we'll have the students dump their brains once again on a large sheet of paper. This not only assesses their listening skills, but will provide me feedback on the succession of my lesson. This lesson could be utilized for grade levels from 3rd grade and higher. It could not only be utilized in the reading and writing subjects, but also for social studies, history, or American government. Alright, the lesson instruction. This lesson should begin by determining the students' prior knowledge of presidents through dumping their brains. This is when the students are provided markers and a long sheet of bulletin board paper to write whatever is in their brains about a particular topic. So your kids are going to you roll the bulletin board paper out, you give them markers, and all one at a time they dump their brain about anything that they know about the presidents. This way you see what you may further need to incorporate into the rubric to ensure that all of the points are assessed for your standards. Alright, once all the students have dumped their brain, then the class will discuss each thought. Following the opening of the lesson, the teacher will need to model how to research the topic and record this research onto their provided outline. A discussion of plagiarism and the websites that are authentic and appropriate for the project must be addressed. Once the students have filled out the required information, the teacher will need to model how to convert the information from the outline onto a slide. Next, the teacher will need to model through several steps the procedures for creating a PowerPoint. Once the modeling has been completed, the teacher will need to discuss the rubric with the students to make them aware of the expectations for the project. Then over the course of a week, time will need to be provided to complete the project in a computer lab. As the students diligently work, the teacher will need to monitor the student progress and aid in any difficulties. Should the students finish early, they can practice orally presenting the projects in small groups to rid of any future fears. If students do not finish the project in class, if students do not finish the project in class, it will need to be completed at home for homework. Then, through the course of a week, the students are to present their PowerPoints to the class. After all students have shared, complete another dump your brain activity on a president they did not research, but learned about through a presentation to evaluate the success of the lesson and to assess their listening and critical thinking skills. So basically, you're going to do another dump your brain activity with the kids, and they're not allowed to give you information on their president. They have to give you the information they learned from the other students. Final thoughts. Despite the length needed for this assignment, it is an enriching project that includes various lifelong skills and touches on several subjects. It is difficult to get my students interested in learning, but with this project and only 3 computers to work with because I wasn't able to go to the computer lab, they were able to create some fascinating projects of which they are ecstatic to share next week. This is a lesson that I plan to use in the future once I iron out the quirks. There were even times my more technological students taught me and others how to perform certain tasks on the PowerPoint. Overall, from the evaluations and projects, I feel this lesson was a great success. Here are my references. There's Ruby Star. It allows you to do rubrics, and it has several different spots and skills, and it's a really neat tool, and you can use it for anything. I didn't have the kids look at Wikipedia for the research because it's not really authenticated, so a lot of our information came from the White House for the research. The PowerPoint, we did googleapps.com. Some of the kids use Microsoft Office, but I tried to do Google Apps when it would allow me at school. Otherwise, the kids did that at home and used Microsoft Office. And then the outline is this right here. This is the outline that I self-created, and it has the directions, all the information that I required, and then here is the paragraph writing outline, and as you see, I went through each part with some of my students, and this is where we're doing our grabber for our slide and so forth, and then converting it into slides. And this is, each paragraph is actually a slide as well. And that's my president's project. Thank you.